I'm Melissa.
And I'm Kristen.
And we're coming to you from Zink's Meats and Fine Wines with our weekly Wednesday wino tasting. Couple things first, we want to thank all of you who are watching our video diligently and giving us great feedback, great comments, helping us with make these better, because this is the first time either of us have ever created a video, and so we're learning as we go. But something I do want to teach you real quick about wine tasting, because I had several questions about wine tastings messaged to me. So when you are tasting wine, you are to taste the wines through and then decide which wine you want to buy in the bottle. So the proper technique for that, which we were taught when we were taught as judges, is the proper technique in tasting wine. And a very famous French winemaker taught me that if you're above the equator, you swirl your glass to the right. Don't knock my glasses over. If you're below, you swirl your glass to the left. So we are above, we're going to swirl to the right. And the first thing you do is the nose. You want to know what the aroma of the wine is. So you take a big inhale, try and imagine, what do you smell? Do you smell fruit? Do you smell dust? Do you smell dirt? Do you smell, there's all kinds of things, violets, lavender, all kinds of tasting notes that they provide for you that tell you what you should be smelling. A lot of people do the side where you go open and then taste through, smell through the wine, and it's not quite as a big smell. It kind of gives you a little bit longer of a lingering smell, which is a good way to do that too. Now when you're tasting the wine, you put a little bit of wine in your mouth, you inhale the wine through your mouth, swish it around, and then we spit it out. I know, ladies, we were always taught not to spit, but when you're tasting wine, technically you put it in, swish it to the back palate, and then spit it out. So we go in, and you spit it out. Now from there, your mouth should be exploding with flavors. You should have thought about it when you took some in. As you breathe in, it's a different flavor than when you're not breathing in. And then when you spit out, you get a different back palate and different flavor when you spit out. And that should give you the full roundness of the wine. Okay, so since we've had these wines before, we are not going to be spitting them out, and we're just going to go right into talking about them. So the winery that we're focused on this week is called the Goldschmidt Vineyards. They have several different things going on. They have their Goldschmidt Vineyard, which started back in 1990. They actually did their very first label in 98. And then they also have their Forefathers International Vineyard, or winery. So they studied, Nick and his wife studied in Australia, New Zealand, which is where they're from, Argentina, and they just kind of took all these new techniques over the years and different techniques from the different places and different regions and brought them to Napa Valley, where they live in California. So along with their 3 daughters who help in the winery, they're not a big part of the winery, but they help with harvest and pruning and any kind of thing that mom and dad really need them to do. And so mom and dad named 3 wines after them. So 3 of their daughters, Chelsea has the Merlot, Catherine has the Oakville Cabernet, and Catherine has the Alexander Valley Cabernet. The Game Ranch, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but they have 2 different prestige vineyard sites for these wines that they source grapes from. One is from the Yeoman Vineyard, which is on the slopes of the Alexander Valley, and then the other one is in the heart of Silverado Trail in the Oakville region. So first thing we're going to get started is we're going to talk about, we have 2 of the 3 daughters' wines today. So we have the Chelsea Merlot. So the Chelsea Merlot, as you swirl, on the nose you should smell a little bouquet of violet. You should definitely smell some of that black fruit. So it does have that black fruit. But being a Merlot, you should also get a little bit of what?
I get a little bit of chocolate.
A little bit of chocolate, okay. This is kind of a big Merlot. It's very tannic, it's very bold. It's not your, I don't drink Merlots anymore kind of Merlot. It's kind of your more cab lover Merlot. So it's definitely more tannic, more fruity, but yet dry, and has a real nice finish. So I'll let you do the tasting. Tell them about the tasting notes from actually the Goldschmidt site.
So the aromas put out red raspberry, black cherry, and a deep complex flavor is red plum, black cherry, and chocolate. It is 100%. All of the wines that we're tasting are 100%.
Varietal, yes.
Yep. And then, so this one is aged for 12 months in a 60% French oak, 20% American oak, and 20% Hungarian oak barrels.
Okay. Did you try yours?
I did.
I did. I tried mine as well. So, moving on to the next one for us. We'll talk while you try. Okay, so the next wine that we're going to do is the Hillary. So the Hillary is their Oakville Cabernet. Again, 100% Cabernet. And as you know with the Cabernet, you should always get that fruitness on the nose, but there should be that little almost like a richness to the palate and a richness to balancing out the wine. I guess that doesn't make sense, but that's okay. We'll try it. Oh yeah, so you definitely can tell it's a cab. So it definitely has that cab nose, has a little bit of that tobacco-ness to it. Slight leatherness, I guess, but not overly so, because you can definitely taste the raspberry fruit, black raspberry fruit, and all that kind of stuff. Or smell it, sorry. That definitely has some. I didn't read anywhere on there where it talked about whole cluster or skin-on-skin contact, but that wine definitely, you can tell when you taste it that there is some skin-on-skin contact. There's a little bit of stemming left involved in the pressing because there's a lot of tannics in the middle, not necessarily on the back finish, but it definitely has that bright acidity in your mid palate. So you definitely can taste that acid as it's going through to the back palate. Very nice, very well balanced. So price points on these are $21.99, right? We think. I know how much these all cost. But no, they're $21.99. All right. So now we're going to move into their...
That one was aged in for 20 months in 100% French oak barrel, just so you know.
Okay. So we're going to move on to our other vineyards. I want to talk a little bit about these two different vineyard sites. So again, as we said, the Yeoman is in Alexander Valley. It is located on the northwest slope of Alexander Valley. They have very nice, rich soils. There's stone. There's a lot of ability for the vines to really, really reach deep and reach down and get their wine. The vines get into the ground real deep. I had to tell her we were switching order. And so these wines are just fabulous. Because when the roots have to work harder to get to the bottom and to get to water, then they just have a tendency to just produce this really big extracted fruit and this really nice, bold flavors. So, that being said, this is going to be our 2012 Yeoman. Now, the 2012 Yeoman is, again, Alexander Valley. 14.3% alcohol, and 32 months in new oak barrels. So it spends a lot of time on oak, a lot of time in the barrel. It's got that nice deep garnet red color that you see throughout the glass. They have legs that come down. But again, 14.3 isn't up in those 14.8s and 14.5s, so it should be a wine that would be, well, as we know, a lot of the 12s were lower in alcohol content, but they tend to be a little bit better food-friendly wines because they don't overpower the food. So this, as some of you know, 12s are some of my favorites. So, oh wow, that's got a huge, big old nose on it. It's fruity, but it has that slight agedness. You know it's older. So like if you were to take the 12 in one hand and the 15 in the other hand, you know right out of the gate that one is younger.
Oh, absolutely.
And one's older. Oh, so much. So this 12 is just already opened up just slightly, but not too much because it can age for 35 years. Yeah, that's a nice wine. It's nice and rich still. It's bold for a 12. The really cool thing about these wines is they are unfiltered, and unrefined. So you're going to have sediment in your glass. You're going to have all that beautiful tannic sediment that sits down in the barrels, and it just comes right out into the bottles, and then they're aged again for 10 or 12 months in the bottle.
It is aged or fermented with the skins on for 4 weeks.
Okay, so it is skin on skin contact for 4 full weeks. So that also helps with the extraction of the color and the flavor. Okay, now let's move on to the 15. Okay, so the 15, as most of us have either know already or are finding out, the 15 is a fabulous year for both Bordeaux and Napa Valley. There was perfect prime ripeness, there was plenty of water, there was plenty of heat, there was plenty of fog. All the elements in nature just worked out perfectly for wine country. And so that being said, it's, as all winemakers that you will ever talk to says, when the grapes start out so good, the wines end up just as good or even better. So they don't always have to add something to that to make it wonderful. So this one is aged in only 30 months. Again, skin on skin contact. It's again the Napa or Alexander Valley Vineyard, and it's definitely younger. It's tighter. It's not as open. On the palate, it's huge. It's tannic, it's young, it can aerate, it's delicious. It makes your mouth water after you drink it, which is kind of cool. I like that feeling. But it's nice and dry. But it's not so dry that you're like, ooh, where's the water? Because we've had some of those wines that have been so extracted that you're looking for a glass of water afterwards because your mouth's like, I mean, it's so tannic that she's literally licking her teeth because you can feel it on every spot of your mouth.
Yep.
That, again, is an outstanding wine. Okay, let me move these out of the way. And we're going to go on to our 5th and final wine of the day. Oh, okay. So, this is our 2013 Game Ranch. So, this is in the heart of Oakville on the Silverado Trail. It is a small plot of land. They only produce 700 cases a year. It is aged in 31 months in 70% new and 30% once used oak because of the richness of the grapes and the soil already. They don't want to over oak this wine because then it would be chewy, and especially with it being unfiltered and unrefined. The last thing we want to do is chew our wine. We want to drink our wine. The nose has some very, very big, beautiful
What do you
floral
smell?
bouquet. I mean, there is a floral bouquet in there. It's definitely floral to me, and it
I
definitely has
almost
some
got, like,
fruit.
Leather, almost leather. There was another word that I would have pointed on it.
Okay, now this one is different because this wine is, as some of you know, Oakville, they have more of a sandy soil. They have more of a clay soil, so it's not very rocky and grainy and all that. It's real clay and soil. So the clay parts of the vineyard are really hard to get through, but then the sandy parts of the vineyard, water runs right through it. And so the different terroirs in the same vineyard block that they pull this from, they get an opportunity to play a little bit with really super ripe grapes, and then grapes they have to leave on just a little bit longer. Now this wine itself, this wine is actually gets picked 2 to 3 weeks before the Alexander Valley wine. Because of where the location is and the amount of sun, it ripens a lot sooner than the Alexander Valley, which kind of makes sense when you think about it afterwards. Again, unfiltered, unrefined.
I also do get licorice.
$14.2, so not a powerhouse alcohol, but you wouldn't know it wasn't. It's very big and bright and dry and tannic and just very nice to drink. Perfect with a big old steak. It's just delicious. I love it. Out of all these tonight, which one was your favorite?
I almost like the 2012 Yeoman.
That's what I would pick too.
Really?
I would pick the Yeoman also.
It's
I like to where it's opened up a little bit more to give just a little bit better showcase of what you're going to get, because when we're talking about these kind of wines, we don't necessarily always have them, we don't necessarily always drink them right away. So we lay them down, and to see something that's been from 2012 and still that beautiful. A lot of 12s we've found over the recent times we've been opening some 12s that they were like almost past their drinking. This is perfect right now, but it also could lay for a couple more years, and I think it would be just as beautiful. So we'll go over some price points real quick. So the Hillary and the Chelsea are $21.99 a bottle. The Yeoman 2015 is $81.99 a bottle. The 2012 is $129.99 a bottle, and the Game Ranch is $73.99 a bottle. So this week's flight is outstanding. The flight includes all 5 of them. You can pick the flight up Wednesday afternoon, and we are going to throw our big smoker out front this week, and so look for it. Come by and find something that was good and smoked and great. It's going to be, I think, a pretty nice sunny week ahead, and we're pretty excited about that. So we thank you again for joining us. Again, please keep sending your love and your comments and support. And through this time, I know everybody thinks and is so excited about, things maybe coming open soon. But I'm not so sure that's going to happen for restaurants anytime soon, at least from what we're being told. So let's just keep Zooming, drinking wine. If you'd like to be part of our Wednesday Zoom and go through this flight together, message me and we can do so. So have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.